What's up, everybody? Aloha Monday. Aloha Monday. Hope you guys all had a great day. Hope you guys all have a great week. I don't expect too many people on tonight because we're talking about the charter amendments for Kauai. So I would think that would exclude all the outer island people, all our neighbor island people, because get too many good shows on TV tonight. So, so I got a frog in my throat. Get my village cup. What's up, Jimmy? What's up, man? Yeah, we're going to talk about the charter amendments because I have been receiving a lot of calls about the charter amendments for Kauai. Every county has amendments, and I'll just talk real quick about the charter. We had a little discussion about the charter on a couple of our shows about the importance of our charter. There was a big discussion about whether or not we should put in the charter the amendment that would automatically divert 2% of the real property tax revenues to affordable housing. Let me just say the charter is a very important document. It's a document that isn't intended to be changed frequently. It is there to provide the structure of our government, right? It identifies the duties of the mayor, the county council, every single department head and deputy. The charter has everything about the structure of government and how we operate is in the charter. The charter was never intended to be a budgetary tool. That's why you have a council. That's why you have a mayor. That's why you have 7 representatives on a council to their biggest role of their term or of their year is to prepare the budget and approve the budget that's going to keep the county running. That is all handled in the budget. The charter, again, it talks about how the mayor is elected, what happens if there's a vacancy, what departments will the county have. It's about structure. So I know a lot of people were upset because the council voted down the proposal from the Charter Review Commission to put a budgetary matter in the charter. That's not where it belongs, because if something happens and you need to change a budgetary matter, right? The council can do that at any time. They can amend the budget at any time. If something comes up and they need to do something with the budget, they can do it at any time. And you have the public hearing process and all of that. But in a charter, you can only do that in an election, in a general election. So every 2 years. So again, the budget process of the county, and that's where you folks have a say when you vote. Yeah, if the council wanted to allocate more money to affordable housing, then they can in the budget. If they wanted to put more money into parks, they can in the budget. But to put a budgetary matter or a budgetary issue or budgetary mandate in the charter is a huge mistake, in my opinion. And of course, that's just my opinion. So we have a charter review commission that the mayor appoints, and every year they go through the charter and they make determinations whether or not the charter should be amended. And they have 2 channels. Number one, send it straight to the ballot like they did with the 4 amendments we're going to talk about tonight. The other method is to send it to the council and let the council vet it out. And that was really, I thought, I didn't think that was how it should be. They put it in the council's hands, and then again you create that division on a council. But whatever, that's how it was done, and it didn't pass. And I support that because again, the charter is not a budgetary mechanism. It's a structural mechanism for how our county operates. And if you haven't seen the charter, it's a pretty boring document, but it has everything you ever want to know about our county and how it should run, how the budgets are done, how resolutions are done. All of those things are in the charter. And those shouldn't change unless things happen. We'll talk about that tonight. So I hope that's clear. I hope that's clear. And again, I don't expect too many people on tonight because I think our neighbor island people, our mainland villagers, probably going to watch TV tonight because it doesn't really impact them. Although, again, every county this year has amendments, and I welcome anyone from the outer islands, from the neighbor islands that would want to come on the show to discuss their county's amendments. We'd be more than happy to have them on. Uh, More than happy to have them on. Hey, Wednesday night we'll have Joe O'Connor running for Congress. He'll be on our show to talk about his platform. I'm looking forward to that. I'm trying to get Duke and Junior. I spoke to Duke and Junior, Duke Iona and Junior Tupai. I think that's how you say it. And they'll be coming on as well. This whole thing that you're hearing about now, the Supreme Court decision that will possibly get some of our serious cases dismissed because Supreme Court ruled that all felonies has to be charged or has to be indicted in a grand jury. And in Hawaii, we have two choices, two options. Number one, grand jury, which you got to grab people from the community to come in and listen to the case, and they will make a determination whether or not there's probable cause to keep that person or to charge that person. The other way is to go through a preliminary hearing, in which is the person gets arrested, and within 48 hours he gets in front of a judge, and the judge makes the ruling if in fact there was probable cause to hold him or her. And we've been doing this for 40 years. Supreme Court came and said, well, what happened was in the case, Obrero's case, the person was arrested, went to grand jury did not find enough evidence, and then the prosecutor charged them anyway. But the way the Supreme Court made the ruling was that now all felonies must go in front of a grand jury, which is logistically, I won't say it's impossible, but it's difficult, and it's going to take time, and it may cause issues in the legal process. So the remedy is to have the state legislature call a special session and fix that. And the legislature has decided that they're not going to do it, which is quite frustrating. I work for the prosecutors. I see this every day. And right now, the case goes to, on Kauai, majority of our cases go to grand jury, so it's not going to impact us that much. But on Oahu, they do a lot of charging through the preliminary hearing. And that's, to me, I mean, you're going in front of a judge, not a grand jury. You're going in front of a judge, and a judge is going to look at the rule of law and make a determination whether or not there is probable cause to hold that person. And it works. And I mean, who would know more, right? The judge, right? So anyway, I was watching the news tonight, and I saw they had the Josh Green and Duke Iona. And Duke Iona is calling on the governor and the lieutenant governor to call for a special session of the legislature so they can fix this. So these dangerous criminals don't get set free. We got people that are in jail right now that cases will get dismissed and we'll have to go all the way back to the grand jury process. And that's crazy. I mean, I'm talking murder, rape, kidnapping, all of these serious crimes. And again, you know what? It seems like in this state, we keep focusing on the bad guys and not on the victims. So, yeah, I'm kind of concerned. Josh Green said, oh, well, you know, we got to have a plan. Well, we'll just get these guys come back in session, sit around the table and talk story. No, Josh, no. We're going to have the legislators do their job and fix it. That's what, again, I emailed Duke tonight to see if he can come on. I really want to have that discussion because I'm afraid that we are going to see some very dangerous people be released from jail. And we definitely don't want to see that. It's time we start focusing on the victims. All right, guys, let's get started. Hey, tomorrow night I'll be at Kilauea Neighborhood Center from 6:30 to 7:30. Thursday night I will be at Hanapepe Neighborhood Center from 6:30 to 7:30. So please share that. It's on my page, guys. Go on my Facebook page. You can see the schedule. It's also in the Wednesday paper. If you grab the Wednesday paper, I don't know who buys that paper anymore. I don't, but it's the schedule is going to be in the Wednesday paper every week until we're done. So we're going to cover every part of this island to talk story with the community and answer their questions. So, all right, let's get started. Let me get started here. Make sure this thing works. Again, the charter if you guys are just joining it, every election there are proposed charter amendments, and the voters will vote. Now remember, we had 39.6% voter turnout here on Kauai. Embarrassing. We got to fix that. I'm hoping that we can engage enough people. I know people have given up. People are sick and tired. They don't think that their voice counts or their vote counts, but it does. And this is in this case where we're talking about a charter amendment. The way and one of the things I really want to fix is that right now they count the yes votes and they count the no votes. The blank votes aren't counted. It pretty much counts as a yes. So we need everybody to vote. We need everybody to vote, number one, and we need everybody to vote on the charter amendments. And we cannot get them to vote on the charter amendments if they don't know what the heck they mean. And there's very little education. And that is why sometimes bad amendments pass and good amendments don't. So I hope I'll be able to at least clear up a little bit about we only have 4 this year. And this will be on the general election ballot on November 8th. So please vote. Okay. So the first charter amendment that you see on the ballot: shall the county charter be amended to require that future elections for the prosecuting attorney occur at the same time as the county's regularly scheduled elections? We all know that our former prosecutor resigned in the middle of his term, and the way our charter is structured, that required a special election. It costed the county almost $500,000. So the Charter Commission took a look at this, and basically they said, the purpose of this amendment is to amend the county charter to avoid the high cost of conducting a special election for the sole purpose of filling a vacancy of the prosecuting attorney. And let me, real quick, I'm going to read this this is straight off of the county's website, okay? The recent resignation of the prosecuting attorney triggered a special election for the sole purpose of electing a prosecuting attorney pursuant to the charter. The cost to the county of the election was approximately $500,000. This amendment would allow the first deputy prosecutor to serve as prosecuting attorney until the seat is filled in a regularly scheduled election. The special election to fill a vacancy of the prosecuting attorney would be held concurrently with the county's elections if the vacancy occurs more than 3 days before the filing deadline for the elections. If the vacancy occurs later, the special election will occur concurrently with the county's next scheduled election, and the first deputy would serve until the county prosecutor is seated. In the event the first deputy is unable to serve, the prosecuting attorney will be appointed by the mayor with the approval of the county council. Hang on. All right. So the county prosecutor's term is 4 years. We have an election every 2 years because of the council and the state house. They're both 2-year terms. Senate, mayor, prosecutor is 4 years. So what this is saying is that if we have a vacancy in the prosecutor's office, that the first deputy will serve as the prosecutor, and at the next election they will have a special election. If it's not the prosecutor's election, they'll have a special election, but it'll be done at the same time with the regular election, so there will be no additional cost. That's really what this is all about. We learned when Justin Kohler left, and we had to do the special election, and we had to get all the machines, we had to get all the ballots, you had to get it printed, you had to get the notifications, you had to get the mail outs. $500,000, folks. It could have been used for something much better for our people. So this amendment would fix that and say, okay, your first deputy, who should be qualified, right? That's why they're the first deputy. In the charter, it says the first deputy will assume the duties of the prosecutor in the absence of the prosecutor. The only problem is when you have a vacancy in office, that is where we run into problems. So this will fix it up. So my recommendation, vote yes. We need to fix that. So the first deputy will serve as the prosecutor, and then it'll be called a special election if it's not in the normal election period for that prosecutor, because their term is 4 years. So if it's within that 2-year period, then they will have an election, but it will be with all the other elections, so there will be no additional cost. All right. See how fast? See how fast? If you get any questions, pop them in the comments, guys. I'll try to answer them. The Second Amendment. Shall the charter be amended to remove Article 30, which allows the county council to create an electric power corporation? Remember now, all of these, this was an amendment that was done prior, and the voters supported it. So the purpose of this amendment is to remove the charter provisions that allow the council to create an electric power corporation like the KIUC. This would avoid any duplication of services and limit the unnecessary growth of government. Background: in 2002, this is the first year that I got elected. So when my first election, this was on the ballot. Voters approved an amendment that added Article 30 to the county's charter in response to the proposed sale of the Kauai Electric Company to the KIUC. If the sale of KIUC failed, or if KIUC was not able to provide adequate electrical services, Article 30 allowed the county council to establish an electric power authority corporation. In September of 2003, however, the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission approved the sale of Kauai Electric to KIUC. KIUC has since adequately managed and operated Kauai's electrical power system and has become a national leader in renewable energy. So this was put in there because I don't know how many of you remember, but there was this it was a pretty big controversy that KIUC was going to purchase Kauai Electric. There was all kinds of rumors and all kinds of stories. And there was a possibility that KIUC was not going to be able to purchase Kauai Electric. There was a possibility that Kauai Electric would sell to a mainland power company. At the time, and again, I wasn't part of the discussion. I wasn't on the council yet. But at the time, the leaders, elected leaders, and the community felt that we needed control of the power authority here for Kauai. And KIUC appeared to be the best way, a cooperative, right, which is what we have now. And but had that not happened, if that went sideways, then the council was, based on this charter amendment, would have been able to form a corporation, a power authority corporation that would be able to purchase Kauai Electric. I mean, I look back now, knowing what I know now, I don't know if that would have been a good idea. I don't know if this county, could run a power authority. But that was the plan. That's why this charter amendment was created. That's why it passed. We wanted to make sure that the power company was going to be local, was going to stay, the proceeds would stay here in Hawaii. And that is why KIUC purchased Kauai Electric. So this one here, because KIUC is now the cooperative, there is absolutely no need to have this language in the charter. So this basically is a house cleaning measure to remove that language that was put in, clean up the charter. So again, my recommendation would be yes. We're going to be quick, guys. We're not even going to be the full hour tonight, unless you guys get questions. Okay, this one here, folks. This one here is incredible. Shall the charter be amended to give the Salary Commission the authority to establish the maximum salary for elected and appointed officials? I know you guys are going to make comments and questions, and fine, I welcome them. But listen, the Salary Commission, again, appointed by the mayor, and throughout the year, they do the research, the studies. Sometimes they hire outside consultants. I'm not sure. Ed McDowell says no. This one, I'm telling you guys, it's a double-edged sword because I've lived it. I've seen it. Okay, so right now, back in the days, the Salary Commission came out and they set all the salaries of department heads, the deputies, and the county council. The salaries of department heads and deputies could have been accepted, rejected by the council, but they set the council salaries. Now, the council has to vote on their own. And listen, it's not their raises because this doesn't take effect until the next term. Now, of course, most of the incumbents return, so you could say that they are voting for their own raises. In this most recent case, two of the members are two of the members are. Oh, I'm sorry, and the mayor's salary. Thank you, Larry, and the mayor's salary. Uh, so this year they sent across the recommendations, and like I was saying, Arrow Kaneshiro and Mason Chalk are they're term limiting out, so this won't impact them at all. But the remaining five members are running for office, and no one knows what's going to happen in the election, but there's a good chance that some or all of these incumbents will return. So there was a lot of hoopla about them voting on their own raises. And historically, for all the years that I was on the council, that the salary increases came over, we always voted no on the council salaries. And it's kind of, I won't say it's disrespectful, but it's kind of tuning out. Yes, the mayor does appoint the commissioners. It's very difficult if you're sitting in office voting for your own raises. So because of all of that, the charter came out, and the charter commission is saying, let the salary commission set the maximum salaries. Now, it does say maximum, so it's up to the department heads to pick the salary that fits the employees. Watching from the Big Island. All right, Janelle, perfect. The last time we went and gave raises when I was on the council, everyone got the maximum. I mean, there was everyone, relatively quickly got the maximum. Again, this is why voting is so important, right? You got to vote. You got to hold these people accountable. But I will tell you that the salary commission, they do the research, they do the homework, and they come out with these salaries that, whether we agree or disagree, that is what they're I guess they're investigating, or their research has provided. So again, I say it's a double-edged sword, because damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? If the salary commission sets the salaries and the council cannot vote yay or nay, then you're stuck with it. But then again, if you allow the council to vote for the salaries, yay or nay, then the people are going to say, hey, they voted for their own salaries and so forth. So it's like I say, it's a double-edged sword. Let me just go over the purpose. To efficiently establish salaries that attract and retain the best and the brightest, all counties in the state of Hawaii, except for Kauai, have given their salary commissions the authority to establish the maximum salaries of elected and appointed officials, which includes department heads and deputies. So in all the other counties, the salary commission sets the salaries. And again, double-edged sword. People, you can say that letting the salary commission do it takes the politics out of it, because you're not having an elected body vote on the raises. But then again, that could be said vice versa, right? There is politics in the commission, right? They're appointed by the mayor, and they are setting the mayor's salary. They are setting department heads' salaries, and deputies, and council members. So again, this one here is a tough one for me, but I think when Arrow Kaneshiro made his closing comments about why he was supporting the resolution, was because if the council is constantly being asked to vote on raises for the council, then politically it's very difficult for them to say yes. And then the council salaries don't get approved, but all the department heads and all the deputies and the mayor gets approved. So again, it's about, we as the citizens of this county holding our elected leaders accountable. And when you get your opportunity to vote, you vote for those that you believe are accountable. I thought the commission just gave recommendations and the raise was approved by the council, or does the admin? No, the resolution that comes across from the salary commission is the salaries. The council in the current charter has the ability to reject or accept the resolution. So, I guess in a sense, it is a recommendation, but it's not worded that way. It's just that the council can reject it or approve it. So, yeah, I guess in a sense, it is would be like a recommendation. So this charter amendment would change that, and the final authority would come from the Salary Commission. And again, this one I thought long and hard about, but I think for me, I think it's well. Let me go to the background. Kauai Salary Commission currently conducts extensive research and analysis on salaries of department heads and deputies, but is not authorized to independently make changes to salary caps. The Salary Commission presents its research reports and a resolution to the county council, who can reject all or portions of the resolution by a vote of 5 or more members. So you need a supermajority either to approve or reject. The Salary Commission's report include an analysis of the salaries of all elected and appointed officials in the neighboring counties in the state, the Consumer Price Index, Kauai's county economic status and outlook, vacancies and salary inversions, where a lower ranking position has a higher salary than a higher ranking position. Salary inversions have become a common and chronic problem in the county, as have vacancies, recruitment, and retention. This amendment will empower the Salary Commission to use its expertise to timely address these issues with a long-term strategy with the context of the current economic conditions. How much of a raise did they get? They got a 5% a year for 5 years. So every year they'll get a 5% increase. So at the end of 5 years, it'll be a 25% increase. Again, that's the cap. Department heads should be paying their people based on their merit, and that I think is where what we don't see. So if you have an opportunity, go to the Salary Commission's page on the county website. I believe the report is in there. They did an amazing amount of work with comparisons, and again, it's not about the position. It's not about the person. It's about the position. So we should be paying a county engineer what they're worth. But if you look at Kauai, we don't have an engineer. We have an acting county engineer. Our deputy county engineer is not an engineer. So I mean, how do you again? That's where I think the council got to really take an active role and ask the right questions on how these people are compensated and what are the outcomes. We just saw the roads audit. I don't know if you saw the roads audit at the council meeting. It was horrific. It was an F. So do we reward these people? Again, it's a management decision, and that's your mayor and his staff that looks at this and makes that determination. And I think we got to be much more responsible when we give these raises. But again, that's outside of the council's purview. That's the administrative function, and that's what they do. But I think that's where the people come into play. And I think asking the right questions, having a council that will ask the right questions. So anyway, getting back to the amendment, this is the amendment. I see a couple of people are saying no. I will say yes, simply because I think if the Salary Commission does their job. Now, to Ed's point, the Salary Commission is not elected. They're appointed by the mayor. So the public cannot get rid of a commissioner because they don't get elected. Whereas the public can get rid of a council member at the next election. So that is a valid point. That's why I said it's a double-edged sword. I just believe that no one should be voting for their own raises. Larry says, the people of Kauai last election agreed to let the county hire a non-engineer to be the county engineer, likely because they didn't know what they were voting on. Absolutely, Larry. I mean, we talked about it. I pushed for the no vote. I pushed for the no vote on that. Remember earlier I said some bad amendments pass and some good amendments don't? That was a bad amendment. How in the world can you have a county engineer position and that person not be an engineer? I mean, I was wide open with this, and I stand firm on on my opinion. A county engineer needs to be an engineer. A deputy county engineer needs to be an engineer. I mean, really? Oh, they said no because you really don't have to be an engineer. You just got to know how to manage. That's not true. That's not true. You gotta be an engineer. I mean, can you have a prosecuting attorney that's not an attorney? Seriously, can you have a prosecuting attorney that's not an attorney but they can manage? No. Can you have a police chief who's not a police officer? Can you have a fire chief that's not a firefighter? Absolutely not. But the county came out because obviously they wanted to hire people that were not engineers. And again, the mayor did nothing wrong. He pushed for this charter amendment and got him because the people voted because they didn't understand they made it sound really nice in the language on the ballot. But remember, all the blank votes, to me, if you have a blank vote, that shouldn't count as a yes. That should count as a no. I think because of what I won't, sacred is a horrible word, but the importance of the charter should not be based on yes votes versus no votes. I think if an amendment is to pass, you should have an affirmative vote. In other words, you have to have the majority of registered voters have to say yes. The blank vote should not count as a no. I mean, should not count as a yes. Blank votes, if you had 100,000 voters and 30,000 voted yes and 10,000 voted no, it doesn't pass because the 50% is 50,000 voters, and the yeses didn't reach 50,000. So I hope that made sense, but that's how it currently is structured. So it's basically yes versus no's, and the blanks don't count. That's not true. The reason they didn't vote for it, number one, they didn't understand it, or number two, they just went right by and said, I'm not going to vote for that. I don't understand it, and that is a problem. And that's how that amendment passed. So yes, that is that. Well, I won't say it counts as a yes, Amy. It's because they're counting yeses versus no's. The majority of the voters haven't spoken. That's the problem, and I think we need to change that. Yeah, yeah, and then Marlene brings up the inversion problem. I have a problem with inversion. You see, everybody has a choice. No, the blank votes don't get counted. But what I'm saying is, let's just say I had 100,000 voters that turned out to vote. I'm going to use that because we're nowhere near that, but I'm saying just for discussion purposes. If you had 100,000 people turn out to vote, and let's say you had 30,000 votes for yes on the amendment, and let's say you had 10,000 votes that said no, the 30,000 votes are more than the 10,000 votes, so it passes. My point is, if you had 100,000 people turn out to vote, you should get 50% plus one for that amendment to pass. That's what I'm suggesting. And that way, it's very difficult. But you got to educate the public so they go out and vote and they understand the amendment enough that they're going to vote one way or the other. That's all I'm suggesting. So that's why I'm saying a blank vote doesn't benefit. It benefits the yeses. It benefits the yeses because they're only counting yeses and they only counting no's. That's a problem. But I want to get back to that salary inversion problem. That they keep using that as a reason. First of all, government work is a public service. They don't mention all the benefits. They don't mention all the holiday pay, all the sick leave, and the vacation. It's government work is community service. It's a public service. And when you decide to take a department head's job, you understand that the rank and file, because they have overtime and the department heads don't, you made that choice. If you don't want the inversion, then don't take the job. So I agree, Marlene. I don't buy that inversion thing. I don't. It is a problem, but you know what? We have every year it's the same thing. Every time we come up with raises, it's the same thing. We want to retain. We want to hire bigger and better people. really, has anything changed with the raises that we have been giving? Services improved? I think that's the question we got to ask ourselves. So is the fact that we just will pay people more money, but the level or quality of work stays the same? You're not making the county better. I think we got to start looking at our employees and holding them accountable to their job. And it was funny because I was on KKCR tonight, and uh, myself and Addison Bulasan was on the 5 to 6 o'clock hour, and council members Cavallo and DeCosta was on the 4 to 5 o'clock hour. And I was listening in the tail end, and they asked a weird question. They said, "Do you believe that prior councils were effective?" And Billy DeCosta came out and said that, obviously this council gets along, and in the last 10 years, the councils were, they're bickering and they couldn't get along and all of that stuff. And I had to address that in the show, and I'll address it tonight. Is that the job of the council? There's a checks and balance system in the executive and legislative branch. That is what that's supposed to happen. And debate is good. Healthy debate is good. Transparency is good. Transparency is vital. Community engagement is vital. So, were there some heated debates when we were on the council the last 10 years or 20 years or whatever it was? Absolutely. Absolutely. Is that healthy? Absolutely. Did we treat people with disrespect? I don't think so. We held people accountable. We asked tough questions. And that is what's missing. And that is why I decided to run, was because that's missing, in my opinion. Again, I could be dead wrong, but that is my opinion. And how do you get the people engaged? Well, number one, you got to make sure they believe and feel like they are part of government. And right now, I believe that 39.6% voter turnout is a direct reflection on the fact that they don't think it matters. They don't think it cares. They don't think it matters. They don't care. And because they don't know what's going on. And that's why we got to educate. We got to inform them. And that's why I think having the discussions on the council floor, on all the issues that are going on in a county, not just some, but all, is vital. And that is why that is what we need to do. So again, back to the salary commission the charter amendment on the salary commission. I'm recommending yes, but the arguments for those that are saying no are valid, and it's one that you're gonna have to think about and ask around. Again, it's a double-edged sword, right? Do you let a commission, or do you let the county council have the final say? There's pros and cons, and so I know that doesn't really help you guys, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, I love the questions though, guys. Send me any questions or comments. Okay, the last one for Kauai. Shall the charter be amended by removing the portion of section 19.17 that requires surety bonds for certain officers and employees? The purpose is to provide the county with flexibility in purchasing insurance or surety bonds by eliminating a provision that requires the purchase of surety bonds. So certain positions in the county, hold on here. We should have more resource for medical resources. There is a great need. Does county have a say in this? Unfortunately, no, Reina, because the hospitals are, the private hospitals are private, obviously, and the two state hospitals are state. I believe there's a possibility for some collaboration and assisting, but it's difficult. The counties, again, the county is very limited to county issues. But again, that doesn't say we cannot work with the legislature on the needs for our island. And I think the councils have that obligation to really hold our legislators' feet to the fire. And if there's a need on Kauai, then we definitely should be speaking up for the people of Kauai, even if it's a state issue, because it affects our people on Kauai. Then it is really a county issue. And but oftentimes, and not to defend anybody, but even like while I was on the council, if I didn't know of a situation or an issue that was going on, then we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So it's our job as the representatives on Kauai to inform our state partners or federal partners for that matter that we have issues. I've been fighting for a new highway on Kauai for 2 decades. Whenever we go to DC every year, and that falls on deaf ears, but that doesn't stop us from trying. Same with the hospitals. I mean, if there's a need that it's something that our council members should be aware of, that we convey that to the legislature and propose some solutions or some answers to the problems that we have here. So we're not just limited. We're not just limited to county issues, because everything is a county issue if it affects our people. Most people don't understand those words on this one. Yeah, this one I had to read them like 3 times, and I had to go do a little bit of research. So right now, let me get to the background. The removal of the specific language would allow the county to purchase surety bonds, insurance, or both. Council would continue to have the authority to determine if surety bonds are required for specific officers or employees. This would allow the county to select the policies that provide the best coverage and better manage overall costs. So right now, the charter requires surety bonds on certain positions, the financial positions and so forth. Uh, the council, oh, here we go. Surety bonds for public officials generally provide a financial guarantee against loss, specifically that the official duties of an office will be faithfully and legally performed during a specific term. Insurance can provide similar coverage. The county currently purchases errors and omissions insurance for public officials and an employee crime policy. The public official insurance protects against fraud and other wrongful acts of officers and employees, such as an actual or alleged omission, misstatement, misleading statement, neglect, or breach of duty. So it it is. In fact, Larry, that's what this is all about. Right now, the charter requires the county to purchase surety bonds. What the administration is saying is that we can get the same coverage utilizing our bundled insurance policies. Um, I believe from what I've read that it will be better. We'll be better off if we utilize insurance policies, the anti-crime and the uh, errors and omissions policies, because we bundled that with all our other policies for the county. We can get a better deal. Surety bonds cost money, and so this gives the county a flexibility. If the council believes that a surety bond is better, then they can go with the surety bond. If in fact it goes with we can get a better deal with the insurance policy, then they can go with the insurance policy. Hasn't our county lost most of its lawsuits? This isn't liability insurance as far as lawsuits. This one covers uh, crimes, fraud, acts of omission, things like that. If somebody screws up on a contract and we get sued, that's when the insurance kicks in. So this one here, I think, again, relying on the expertise that we have in the finance department, looking at the numbers, they believe, and unless I hear otherwise or find out otherwise, they believe bundling the insurance policies and picking up this insurance policies or this insurance that we already have, and not being forced to purchase surety bonds. My recommendation, well, let me read one more slide. The employee crime insurance protects against theft, forgery, computer fraud, burglary, and fraudulent money transfers committed by an officer or employee. The county bundles these policies in with several other forms of insurance, including general liability, property coverage, automobile, employee benefits, law enforcement, lifeguard, work comp, cyber coverage, aircraft coverage, and commercial excess liability. The bundled policies are then procured annually by the director of finance. So as I said earlier, sorry, I have to get a sip of water. As I said earlier, the insurance policies can provide us the same coverage without the added expense of a surety bond. So, of course, my recommendation, unless I change, I don't know. I doubt it, because I think just knowing what I know about the surety bonds and the insurance policies, this would be a wise choice to vote yes. So, thank you. And don't forget to vote. Okay, guys? That is critical. Okay, let me get back to my screen here. There we go. All right. Let me see. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Let's see. Does anyone remember when we used to get a booklet mailed to us? I remember. Not sure why they don't do it anymore. I'm specifically bringing insight into outpatient management resource and community with patients, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Raina, I share your concerns, man. I share your. We've spoken offline too, and it is a really tough situation. And yeah, I really wish we could get a handle on all of that. I really do. But again, it's really working with our legislature. Uh, county laws. We the county cannot regulate the healthcare industry, and I think that's one of the things people need to realize is the county's legislative authority is quite limited and doesn't extend out to statewide issues. But again, it doesn't take away the fact that we have that ability. We have a louder voice, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We have a louder voice, and we got to be on. We got to be on top of it. Is Joe O'Connor going to be on? No, he's going to be on Wednesday. Joe O'Connor will be on Wednesday night running for Congress, guys. CD2. Let's see. I just got on. I will watch from the. Thank you, Mel. This really helps to better understand. Thanks, Marlene. I listen. I'm a voter. I got to understand the ballot options because if you go to the ballot and you are not prepared, you are going to get intimidated. And I hope the county will put out some PSAs. I hope the county will utilize their some energies and getting it on the radio. I would love to have more discussion, hearing from the administration about the reasons for the charter amendments. I've been blessed, to have served for 14 years, so I kind of understand. And I was around for the KIUC when I was around. I actually was paying attention back then. So, but for the average citizen, you just show up at the ballot and you read, and on the ballot is going to show the language of the charter, how it's going to change. When I looked at it, I really got intimidated. And you don't want to vote wrong, so you just leave it go and you move on, and that's what's causing some problem. I think these aren't as complicated as normal, but again, let's take the engineer amendment that passed at the last. I guess might have been 4 years ago now. And when you read it on the ballot, it sounded right. It sounded because it's written for it to pass, right? You got to understand the Charter Commission, they're proposing the changes, they're writing the language so that it passes. And when you read it, it sounds really cool. It really does. And obviously that was a horrible amendment, and it did pass. And to try to get that changed back, I definitely think it should. I think the county engineer should be a county engineer. I mean, should be an engineer, no doubt about it. I mean, again, I don't know. What do you guys think? Just yes or no. Do you think the county engineer should be a state licensed engineer in the state of Hawaii? Yes or no? I mean, or do you think they should just be a manager? Again, once the engineer is hired, even not licensed, he's on staff forever. Well, unless the requirement goes back, right? If we get opportunity to put that back on the charter and convince enough people to vote, then sorry, it's gone. Remember, these are all appointed positions. They're not civil service. They're not union protected. Yeah, thanks, Raylene. All the more that a blank vote on the ballot is a blank. It's neither yes nor no. Right. And again, it's one of those things. And that's how, I don't know. I blame us. I blame us as candidates. I blame us as elected officials that we lost our audience. We lost our voters, and they have chosen not to vote. They have found something better to do on election day. In fact, a month before election day. That it's so easy now. You just fill out the paper and turn them in, and yet 39% of the people voted, and the rest of the people complaining and upset with the way things are going. I've been saying this for months now. This was a critical election statewide. Um, Statewide, right? From the governor on down to each individual county council. Critical election, right? We're at crossroads. And we have the opportunity to change the direction of the state. We have the opportunity as voters to change the direction of the state. I gave you an example earlier today about the Supreme Court ruling. So you have two candidates. One is saying, go get a special session. Governor, convene the special session and let's fix this problem so bad guys don't go out on the street. And then you have the opponent who's saying, no, we shouldn't get a special session. We're just going to bring guys together to sit around a table. Again, you see the perception or the perspective. Duke Ayona, former judge, and he is adamant. I am so happy he was on that track because I was actually going to call him to find out where he stood because he's been there. He's a judge, a retired judge. I've known the Duke for a long time when he facilitated the start of drug court. He knows the issues. He knows about public safety. So he's out saying, no, governor, lieutenant governor, convene the special session and let's go fix this problem. And Josh Green is saying, no, what are we going to do? We don't want these guys sitting around the table talking story. That's not the point, Josh. You missed the whole point. It's not about, no, these guys go around the table to fix it. They try to fix everything else, but you go fix this one because seriously, this is a major issue involving some very bad people in jail right now that could get released if we don't fix it. So props to Duke, and again, we'll get him and Junior will be on the show. I'm hoping in the next week to share their perspectives on that because that is critical. That is critical. But again, it all comes back to us getting off our ocoles and voting. And whether you vote for me or not, that's fine. Get out and vote. The councils, in my opinion, have more of a direct connection with the constituents because we're here every day. The issues that impact our local residents are real local issues that the county needs to fix. And at the state level, you're separated, you're further distanced. You're not there full time every day. You're only there for the session. So I got to tell you, look across the state, all the different districts across this wonderful state we live in, and think about your district. Think about where you live. Think about your representative and your senator or senators. Some of you guys get multiple senators. And ask yourself, have they done anything that made your life, your family's life better today than it was 2 or 4 years ago? It's a very simple question, folks. Unfortunately, we only see the council members out and about during re-election. Now, Marlene, that's not true. Maybe some of them, but not all of them. By the way, I will be going across the island. Yeah, I'll be at Kilauea tomorrow night, 6:30 to 7:30. So any of you guys know family, friends out there in Kilauea, North Shore, and then we'll be in Hanapepe on Thursday night. And then I don't have my schedule with me, but you can just check my page. I'll be posting up our days. We did Koloa the other night. It was great. 7 people showed up. 7 people, and we had the most awesome discussions about impacts to Koloa and the island. But that's what I love about those community events because you get it's up close and personal. You cannot hide. And I hope more people come out to learn more about the candidates for all offices. We try to do that here on the show by bringing on candidates. We put the call out. Few respond, and whoever wants to come on, they're welcome to come on the platform and share their story, because I think it's important that we understand about understand our candidates and get to know them, get to know their heart, because that's what's critical, right? You gotta, and there's just many, so many opportunities for us to change our direction going forward. So many. I know there's a lot of Democrats on this in our village. I know there's Republicans in our village, and I told you guys before. For me, I don't look at the D, I don't look at the R, and you cannot group them all up as because they're wearing a D, they're like all the rest, or because they're wearing an R, they're like all the rest. I don't, honestly, I don't really care if they're a D or an R. I look at the heart, I look at the experience, I look at the background, I look at the motivation. That's how I pick my candidates when I vote. You know, I support Duke Iona. People tell me, how dare you bring Republicans on a show? Really? Did we? I don't even know if they're Republican or Democrat. I don't care. Anyone wants to come on? Joe Akana, I think he's a Republican. I don't ask. They want to come on the show, come on down, because every time we can share a candidate's viewpoints and we can share their heart with our viewers, to me, I think is a benefit for all. Now we got a small audience, right? The live audience. I knew it was going to be small because charter amendments. Who the heck wants to listen to charter amendments? But they'll watch tomorrow and the day after and the day after, and hopefully a lot of people will be able to watch it, share it, and just to be. How can you vote outside your chosen party? My last ballot. In the primary election, you got to vote either. You got to pick a party, except in the nonpartisan races. So, in the primary, you gotta pick a primary. If you vote a Republican, you got to vote all Republican except for the nonpartisan races. So the mayor's race, council races are all nonpartisan. So you vote primary, you can only vote Democrat, or you can only vote Republican, you can only vote independent, you can only vote whatever. But on a general, you can vote however the heck you want. So you can vote for a Democrat governor, lieutenant governor, you can vote for a Republican House of Representative, you can vote for a Democrat senator. So the general is wide open, guys. You're not limited. But I urge you, go reach out to these people. Ask them the questions. Ask them the questions. Find out where they've come from. Find out where they want to take the state. And don't believe the promises. People ask me, Mel, what is your biggest accomplishment you've ever had when you were in public office? The only one I remember that comes to mind is this. I got a request to put up a light in a cul-de-sac, and I all I did was write the letter to Public Works, and I don't know, within a month or so they got their light, and that people were so happy, thought I was a king, and all I did was write a letter on the county council letterhead. Actually, staff wrote the letter. All I did was ask staff, hey, can we see if we can get a lamp pole put up in the street on a cul-de-sac, and those people were so excited, so happy, and so thankful. That one is the only one that sticks in my mind because, you think 14 years, I've been involved with so many different issues and debates and discussions and laws and this and that. But you know what? Anyone that tells you that I did this or I did that, don't vote for them. Because nobody can do anything alone in this business. Nobody. No council member, no House, no Senate, no lieutenant governor, no governor. Nobody can do anything alone. So I don't keep score. That's why I don't have brochures. The brochures get all the things these guys did in their career. I don't even have the information. I don't keep score. We deal with issue. We try to fix the issue. We move on to the next. I don't keep track. Because I tell you right now, I don't even know what it's just been too many times that we've been voting and I've something that I suggested passed and I was all happy. I don't remember. There's been a lot, but I can tell you, I couldn't have done it without the other members on the council. I couldn't have done it without the administration, the mayor. I Couldn't have done it without our legislature or for the community. So you just put these guys. It drives me nuts when I get the brochures. Oh, I brought whatever $2 million to you you never do that by yourself. So just be careful and cautious about these promises. I mean, the best thing to do is when you talk to them on the phone, or if you get the opportunity to see them face to face, you're going to know if they're real or not. You're going to know. Yeah, I just me. I'm just me. You see me outside in the public, I get the same shorts, t-shirt, slippers. My wife get upset. You better wear one a lower shirt. Why? It's just me. And what you see is what you get. But I don't want to sit here and tell you, oh, this is what I did for Kauai, because I never. I mean, it was always effort of so many people, so many different people, and the biggest driver of any accomplishment in my career was really the community, right? Somebody had to tell me there was a problem, and that's where it starts. And that's why I think the engagement and the transparency, letting the public know that they are part of this. Yeah, you elected 7 people to represent you. You elected a mayor, you elected House and Senate, but really, you guys are the true voice, and that voice needs to be translated to the representatives so they can speak for you. That's how these things supposed to work. But in today's time, it's crazy. Again, go back to the Democrats, Republicans, they're all fighting each other because it's a Democrat bill. Republicans cannot say support, and vice versa. It's crazy. How come we can be like before? We just sat around the table and talk story and just do what's best for the people. Really, that's how it has to be. And that, and we gotta strive for that. And the only way we're gonna do that is by changing the culture in office. And the way we do that is by voting. You keep voting the same people in, you're gonna get the same results. I hate to tell you, that's what's gonna happen. I told you guys a long time ago, check your district. Number one, if you haven't spoken to your representative and never had an opportunity to meet them, call them, email them. Tell them, hey, I really want to have a 15-minute chat with you. I like pick your brain. I like see where you're coming from. You'd be surprised. And if they don't return your call, that's automatic, no vote. Right? Why would you call? Why would you vote for someone that don't even return your call or your email? So I mean, it's just common sense, folks. You guys know your situations where you live, and you just got to ask yourself. And sometimes it hurts because it's people that you like and and it's like for me, there's two types of relationships, right? There's a personal relationship and a professional relationship, and there's a lot of people that professionally we don't agree or we have differences in opinion, but personally we get along. So sometimes it's that real difficult decision that you got to vote for someone else because you've been so used to voting for especially at the state, because no more term limits. You vote for the same people because you recognize the name, but you gotta explore the candidates. You gotta go out there and learn about the candidates. I always say the civil beat questionnaire is a good place to start. They ask some really good questions. And granted, some of these guys, people write their answers for them. Oh, so what? Call them up, email them. They all get contact information on the civil beat questionnaire. Seriously, call them up and ask for 15 minutes of their time. They cannot give you that, no vote form. No vote form. All right. Any more questions, guys? I didn't think we were going to go this long, but this is obviously passionate about some of these things. I really care about this island and this state. Are you coming to Kolo again? I missed the last one. I'm not sure if I can make it because it's really tough getting a neighborhood center over here. It was me and my brother had shotgun requests because it's so hard. Remember in old days, you can just call and make a reservation. No, now you got to go online. You got to put a date that you want, and then they come back and tell you if it's available. They don't even tell you what's available. You just got to shoot them in the dark and hope the day you pick. So I don't know, but Nancy, anybody, if you guys want to chat, you guys want me to show up somewhere, I'll be there. You want to get a bunch of friends together, Kolo, I'll come out there. Thursday, Hanapepe at 6:30 to 7:30. Thursday night, tomorrow night, Kilauea. And again, we're going we're gonna cover them all. We end in Lihuya, I think, on October 29th or so. But we're in Hanalei, we're in Kekaha, we're in Kalaheo, we're in Koloa. Where else? Kapa. We're in every neighborhood center, pretty much. Um, but again, folks, you can share this. Thank you, Matt. This is so helpful and so important to help people. I know, Jimmy. My campaign to get people out to vote is more energetic than my campaign for council. I got to tell you, man, that it's frustrating. It's frustrating when I see the low voter turnout. And we gotta fix that, folks. We gotta encourage people. We gotta help people. Kilauea Neighborhood Center, yeah, 6:30 tomorrow night. I'll be there a little early, so if you want to come by early, we'll talk start. And it's really that. It's just getting together, sitting around in a circle, talking. So we used to have coffee hours, but then I realized nobody on Kauai drink coffee except me at night. So we've made a lot of coffee that got tossed out. So we have water. We have water. We have water. But yeah, seriously, guys, we get, I don't know, 40 something days left before the election. Now we all gotta, it's like we're the village. It takes a village, right? We are the village. Let's go out there and make sure that your friends, your family, your loved ones turn out to vote. If you gotta have one ballot party, one voting party, make one quick poo-poo dinner at your house, um, and just have everybody bring their ballots. Kaleo Portuguese drink coffee 24/7. Maybe Marlene, if you come to the Kaleo one, I will bring coffee, okay? I'll go and get one Starbucks container. I drink coffee. Not now, though. I'm doing really well. The village. Water. Anyway, folks, I appreciate you guys' time. Again, thanks for hanging out. I hope this was informative. Senior citizens are left out because there are those who don't know how to vote. Well, Nancy, that's again, the senior centers, they all have programs. That's a damn good idea, though. Maybe we can eat Patsy's desserts and drink water. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, maybe we can do that. We from the time the ballots get out to the people, there's ample time to have a get together at the. Now I couldn't do that because that's kind of uncool for me to, show up and say, "Okay, guys, time to vote." But you guys can do that. Koloa ballpark lunch with Mel on a Saturday, maybe. I don't know what we're gonna do yet. I just want to make sure that people have the opportunity to come and get to know who I am, to get to know the real me. It's so surprising. I mean, uh, because yeah, when I was on the council, when I was a chair, I was one thing, and I think it's my military training. I i believe in rules. I believe in following rules. I believe in structure. That's just how I was trained. And and the police force was the same way. And when I ran my own business, the same way, structure. So we have rules on the council, and as the chair, I enforce the rules fairly on everybody. And all the prior chairs I served for, they go back and forth. Sometimes they allow, sometimes they don't allow. Well, it's very simple if you follow the rules for everybody, and if you enforce the rules for everybody. No different than our planning department or public works or wherever. If you have a set of rules and you force everyone, I hate the word force, but if you enforce the rules fairly across the board, guess what? No as much problem, no more drama. So a lot of people saw that as me being like a dictator, and then years later I get to meet them and they get to really get to know me, and they say, "Wow, I really thought you was a a-hole, but you're actually a nice guy." Yeah, I'm a really nice guy, and I love this place, and I'll do everything I can to make sure the kids that live on this island don't end up like my kids who have to move to Oregon. That's the motivation. That's the motivation. And I don't do whatever I can. And if it's calling somebody to the carpet, if it's holding someone accountable, if it's asking tough questions, I'm sorry if you get butthurt. I am. You know, I remember, and I'll just end with this one. Uh, this is a famous saying. I would ask a department head a question, and they would say, I don't have the answer right now, but I can get back to you. And I said, when you get paid 120, 130 grand a year, uh, I don't have the answer is not acceptable as a department head. You know, that's just not acceptable. And is that being rude or is that being a dictator? No, it's holding people accountable that are being paid by our people, and we need to get that back. We need to get that back. So if you don't call me a dictator, I'll take it as a compliment. It's not a dictatorship, guys. It's a democracy, but everybody needs to be treated fairly. Everybody needs to have the same opportunity, and that's what it is. And sometimes, people get butt hurt. People think I'm picking on them. I'm not picking on them. If you was working for me as an employee, and I pay your wages, and you're not doing your job, well, either you shape up or you ship out. Is that being a dictator? That's why we have the problems we have. You know, you know, it's why we have the problems we have. And anyway, guys, again, I appreciate you guys. Man, I love you guys a lot. You guys have you make this show fun. I hope this was Marley. Marley, you kill me, but you're right. They never have answers because they are cowards. Because they don't like have to deal with it. They rather deal with it later in a memo. But that has to stop. And the public deserves to know the truth. The people deserve to hear it from them on the floor in a public forum. And we, as the council, have the right or the duty, the obligation to make sure that these answers questions get answered. So, anyway, with that, guys, I could go on all night, but don't forget tomorrow night, Kilauea, 6:30, Thursday, 6:30, Hanapepe. Keep checking on my page because I'll be posting up the schedules for the next for the remaining neighborhood centers. I hope to see you guys all there one day. You guys take care. God bless. Stay safe. We'll see you guys Wednesday night. Joe Akana, congressional candidate, will be on Wednesday night. Take care. God bless.